Hello and welcome to another episode of Gixie Creator Central. I'm your host Arvind, and joining me is Vikram Parthan, CEO of Gixie India. Vikram, why don't you just say a few words to start us off, and then I'll launch into the session for the day.
Yeah, so this is a weekly creators run their businesses better on Gigsy, and every week we choose different topics. Over the past couple of weeks, it's been the 30 steps to monetize your business, your passion on Gigsy, and then we went down to actually showing you how the platform works. And today we are talking about how to make products that can actually sell. Right.
Mhm.
So every week we come up with different topics that are of interest to creators, and if you guys are keen on hearing more aspects of different things, I believe you can always email us, and
Yes,
we can pick up a good topic that can work for all of you, and we can use that topic as well for the upcoming weeks. So do email us at hello@gixie.in.
that's right. That's right. And today's episode is going to be definitely a lot more conversation oriented and conversation focused as compared to our earlier episodes. In the first episode, we spoke about the Passion to Profit Bootcamp, our 30-step plan that you can follow to start making money from your following and turn your passion into profit. The second week, we did the same thing again, but this time we actually managed to record it. So that was a good thing. And last week, we did a live screen recording and demonstration of every single feature of the Gixie platform. All of those content pieces will be available once you log into your profile on Gixie. You can go to the resources section or to the need help section, and they should be visible there right now. Today, we're going to be talking about how do you actually create products that sell. And Vikram's going to be bringing in his expertise based on his MBA from IIM Bangalore. Me, I'm going to be bringing in my knowledge from growing up in the school of hard knocks. I think that's what they call it. Trial by fire. I've been selling stuff for a long time now. And well, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to be looking at how is it that you can create products that sell. Well, one of the things that we did discuss about in as a part of the 30-step Passion to Profit Bootcamp was the concept of research, right? When we do research, we're looking at what are other people in the market doing? What is the market looking for? Are they selling products? Are they selling subscriptions? What are these different things that are actually present in the market? One of the greater ideas, one of the more important ideas as a part of this was about speaking to your customer, right? When it comes to the products that we create here at Gixie or as individual creators ourselves, whether it's Vikram with his life coaching or me with my career coaching, we always make it a point of speaking, right, to the people who would actually be paying money for our products. So when it comes to this, we do, this is how the process would go, right? I know people who have purchased my products, or I know people who will benefit from my products. What I do is I go forward and I start a conversation with them. I tell them, hey, I usually say, hey, Macha, because, that's kind of my thing. Hey, Macha, so, I understand that you've been working in this job for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. So tell me, what do you like about your job? What are the things that you don't like? What do you find something that's difficult? How do you think you're different from the rest? And I keep on asking these sort of open-ended questions so that I understand this customer that I'm speaking to much, much better. The point of this conversation is to build out our strong user personas. This is again something that we have covered as a part of the Passion to Profit Bootcamp. And you should definitely check out that video as well if you want to understand how to do each one of these things, right? So we would go and we're going to understand this person completely. Remember, the user persona that we have built earlier is something that's based on our assumptions, something that we think this is how our ideal customer is going to be, right? But that doesn't always have to be the case. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and fill out this secondary research that you have done. That is research from other sources, and you want to support it, right? You want to beef it up by actual research that you're doing by talking to real people. You want to grow forth and you want to talk to like 4 or 5 people, and you want to understand what is the thing that they actually want. Now, when you're listening, right, it's very when you're talking and listening, it's very important to remember that you don't prime this person for a certain answer, right? We always have an idea of the kind of product that we want to sell. However, if we want to go ahead and get the actual information from somebody, we should ask them, hey, tell me something. You want to discover their actual needs, their actual problems by open-ended questioning, right? So you just want to be like recording notes or something, or you want to remember this stuff. And it's very, very important that you get these answers without priming. So then what would happen is people will actually open up, then they'll tell you what is the stuff that they actually wanted. I'll give you an example. I've been trying to promote one of the courses I sell using the concept of career risk. Right now, that's a pretty interesting and a pretty powerful sort of a topic. But when I started speaking to my audience, I realized that they're more interested in things such as job security. Right? Although career risk and job security may mean the same, for our audience, job security is a far more relevant and a far more appropriate topic to talk about as opposed to career risk, right? So that's why I'm recommending that you go forth and do your conversations with different people to understand what are the kind of products and what are the kind of challenges that they're looking for. Vikram, would you like to add a couple of things on this? Like maybe you could talk about market research and how we've actually used this on Gixie itself.
Yeah, so creators try to usually start with market research and understand what is it that people want from their product. So Arvind spoke about his career coaching bit, where he is going on the lines of actually making people understand what their riskometer is, so to speak. So that's a nice term. Maybe you should use that, riskometer. Yeah. So I have been talking to people who want to live a stress-free life. I keep getting a lot of input saying, I'm so stressed out, I'm so bummed out. Every day I just keep thinking about a billion things, and it just makes me a lot more stressed, and I don't know what to do about it. I keep thinking about what next. And when you've actually thought about all of these thoughts, you don't know what is going to happen next anyway, and you have basically ruined your present moment, right? So when people ask me these questions, I start understanding that that is a problem that they would like solved. So for me, all of my coaching goes down that front, where I have created a niche for myself to understand how to make people happier, how to make them more joyous, and how to make them live a peaceful life, right? But this is through my contacts. Now, if I have to sort of expand this further, I would probably go out on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn, where I have a larger network, and I would start asking questions every day. What is it that makes you tick in life? What is it that has given you a problem in life? What are you thinking about right now? Right? Asking these questions basically makes it open-ended. First of all, these are not like yes or no answers, right? These are open-ended questions that require sentences to be used in order to come to a conclusion. Now, with that, you get a lot of data, right? And every person who responds to you will give you that data. And it's free to respond to questions, right? It's not like you're charging people to answer your questions. So once you do that, you find a lot of people asking you similar traits of questions that you can actually start finding your niche in. And now remember that I started asking questions from a perspective of what I can fulfill as a coach, not what somebody else can fulfill. So I know what strengths I'm going to be playing to, and it makes it easier for me to ask those questions. So therefore, you should keep in mind the kind of questions you should ask, and these questions should tie in exactly with the kind of creator that you are.
This is an interesting point that you do mention, considering depending upon our background, people will respond differently, right? So if you're going to be approaching somebody as a life coach, right? That's going to be the kind of questions you will be asking will be different from the kind of questions I will be asking as a career coach, because that's what you mean, right? By making sure that the questions that we ask are aligned to our background as a creator.
Absolutely,
so that's important, and I think this also segues quite neatly into the second concept for today, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a uh, sociological model that tries to explain human behavior. It says that humans, everybody wants something, right? So it's like a pyramid. That's what it's called, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom of the pyramid is stuff such as what? Food, water, air, sex, and shelter, right? So this is at the bottom of the thing. bottom of the pyramid. Then we have some additional stuff such as, hey, I want some money, I want a nicer place to live, and I need to have security and stuff like that. Then finally, at the top of the level is self-actualization, right? Where I am trying to focus more on not just on survival, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, not just on living a higher quality life, which is at the middle of the pyramid, but at the top of the pyramid, which is I want to be the best person that I can be. Right now, this is a very important concept, and I highly recommend that you go check it out on YouTube or Wikipedia to understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs better. But it makes a lot of sense for us as creators. The reason for this is, again, this is me speaking from personal experience, that as creators, we tend to love the work that we do, right? And so therefore we tend to get a bit of tunnel vision, right? The work that we might do might be absolutely stellar, but if it doesn't make sense for the recipient, for our customers, then that product is not going to sell. What you want to do is ideally you want to get as close to the base of the pyramid as possible, because that's where people are willing to pay for money. Pay for stuff, right? Where they're willing to pay money for stuff. What that means is the closer you can, so think of it as a spectrum, right? On one end, we have the stuff that people need. On the other end, we have the stuff that people want. You want to be as close to the need side of the spectrum, and so that you have a higher chance of selling. I'll give you an example, right? Now, if I was to be, again, this is just an example. If I wanted to sell, let's say, vanilla scented candles. Okay. Now that seems to be like a very far out thing, like something that's not something that people would necessarily, need, right? It's probably something that people want. Do you agree with me on that, Vikram? Right. So what I would need to do is, even though I'm still selling these sort of vanilla scented candles, right? I need to figure out a way as to how I can push it towards the need side of the spectrum, right? So what does that mean? It means that I am no longer going to be talking about vanilla scented candles. Instead, I'm going to be talking about stress, because these vanilla scented candles are one of the best ways to beat stress, right? So this kind of leads me. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, think of it as a spectrum between need and want. And the easiest way for you to essentially produce a very strong demand for whatever you're selling, could be a product or your service, is to not just focus on your product, not to focus on yourself, but focus on the problem that your product is solving, right? So then immediately you can see that, hey, you can reframe this. You can take this product that you're selling and you can reframe it as a problem that you're going to be solving for. Now, on this webinar, we have two creators with us. One is Prithvi and other one is Madhukar. Prithvi is a musician and Madhukar is uh, I'm a very, very flexible person, but what I'm trying to say is,
Yoga
yeah, he's
master.
a yoga specialist, right? So let's take a stab at to the kind of things that both Madhukar and Prithvi could be looking at when they're creating their products, right? So let's go ahead with Madhukar, right? So Madhukar, what he could do is maybe he could make a like a mini course, right? Like a 5 or a 7 video course on yoga that talks about how you can do these different asanas when you're locked up at home, right? Or maybe the first thing in the morning. Now that's okay, but he's obviously going to be facing a lot of competition, because when it comes to the need want spectrum, he's more towards the want spectrum when he is positioning his offering like that. But when you move it towards this, if we have to look at what is the problem that Madhukar could solve using yoga, then suddenly we could say it's not just about yoga, but this is, let's say it's yoga for stress reduction, right? So maybe that's one way, or maybe it's yoga for weight loss, or maybe it's for yoga for weight loss for returning mothers, right? Or for new mothers. Now suddenly what happens is you've once drilled down on, you drill down once by just saying it's yoga for weight loss. And then you're drilling down again by saying it's yoga for weight loss for new mothers, right? I know this because my wife did yoga like that. So suddenly what happens is that the kind of problem that you're solving goes away from the want side and approaches more towards the need side of thing, right? That's one way of looking at it. Another case, Prithvi. let's say that um, I've seen the kind of work that you put out on the Gixie platform, Prithvi. There are some warm-up exercises, right? So that's something that's a part of her bronze subscription, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you were to sell these, subscriptions, now who could you target? Well, you could definitely target singers, right? So that's definitely there. But who else could benefit by vocal exercises? Well, right now you can, considering the kind of era that we are operating in, where everybody's working from home and working on a computer with webinars, maybe you could say um, something along the lines of how do you prepare for your online class? How do you prepare to teach an online class, right? Or vocal exercises for online teaching. Now you see suddenly what's happening is, I'm not saying that teaching music is a bad thing. Please don't get me wrong. What I am trying to say is, if you suddenly take the same product and then you position it as a need as opposed to a want, you're going to be having a lot more traction when it comes to your product. Now, of course, you will have to remember who is your audience. Like for Madhukar, we said it's going to be yoga for weight loss for returning mothers. Now, if returning mothers is not his target audience, then he would have to change the thing to say it could be yoga for weight loss for busy professionals, let's say, right? Now, suddenly it could be a different thing, or for IT professionals, because IT professionals, and I know this because I've had carpal tunnel and some weird neck thingy as well. So spondylitis,
And
right?
back
So
pain.
yes. So you see how you could actually take this and you can make it specific for a particular audience, right? So that's kind of the thing, that you want to go from the want side to the need side of the spectrum. And that's the second point. And this second point leads us to the third thing, which is a very easy way for you to figure out how do you go from the want side to the need side. And the answer for that is quite simple. You have to answer this question. Whatever you're selling, the product or the service, is it taking people away from pain, or is it taking them towards pleasure? Right? That's the only reason why people do stuff, right? There's a third reason as well, but I'll get to that. Is it taking people away from pain, or is it taking people towards pleasure? It could be in any form. The third option that I was talking about was a status change, right? Does this make them look good or bad? We're going to unpack that next. But right now, you'll have to see. Now, if I'm going to be saying that it is yoga for weight loss, right? It's kind of both, right? Depending upon how heavy I am, it could be that, okay, you know what? Suddenly my knees won't hurt so much. Or if I'm going to be saying yoga for IT professionals, like neck pain and shoulder pain, then suddenly it is literally reducing pain, right? On the other hand, it could be for, depending upon who's the target audience, it could be, hey, I can actually look better now, right? So then that'll be suddenly towards pleasure. So that's the question. If you want to take your product, whatever you're selling, and you want to have greater traction for it, you want to see that, are you moving people towards pleasure or moving people away from pain? And usually getting people away from pain has more power than moving people towards pleasure. The reason being, again, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have stuff at the bottom of the pyramid, you are in pain, right? So everybody wants to keep on moving up. If you don't have stuff at the top of the pyramid, right? Like that's why like stuff like sustainability, right? Which I think is a very, very good concept. It will take you can't talk about sustainability. Rather, it'll be ineffective to talk about sustainability with somebody who doesn't have enough food to eat, right? Because honestly, he doesn't care about that. What he does care about is, where am I getting my next meal from? Similarly for Prithvi, let's say vocal warm-up exercises. If you have to, is this towards pleasure? That is, hey, you can sound better on stage, right? So that is towards pleasure. But what if we have to rephrase it as a away from pain thing? So suddenly we could say something along the lines of, Vikram, why don't you help me out here? What would it be? Away from pain. How to talk?
Yeah, go on. No, go on.
All right. It could be something along the lines of how to deliver a 3-hour session without any throat ache, let's say.
Yeah, or how to keep your voice completely strong during a concert of close to 2 hours, right?
Okay.
I mean, that would be personally beneficial for somebody like me if I'm going to be singing as a rock musician. Mm-hmm. How do I keep my voice up and running
Hmm.
especially when I'm singing high pitched songs
Hmm.
for a period of 2 hours. I mean,
Right.
it's insane to do, right? A lot of
Okay.
international rock stars do that, but that's a very special need.
Okay. Great. So again, depends upon the target audience. So thank you for sharing that, Vikram. So as you can see, you either want to take people away from pain or you want to take them towards pleasure. The third point that I wanted to share was about status. This is kind of a tricky thing, but once you learn about this concept, you're going to be seeing this everywhere you go. People do everything because of status. Okay. What I mean is, anytime they're going to be doing something, they're going to be looking at what is the possible status change that I'm going to be experiencing by doing something. Is my status level going to go up or is it going to go down? If something is going to be like, pushing my status level down, I'm not going to be inclined to do it. But if I can do something that's going to boost my status, right, then that's going to be a lot more beneficial. Why is this important? This is important because when it comes to actually selling your product, when you're talking about your product, when you're speaking to your customers about it, please don't ever use the word status. Okay. But the point is this: you want to go ahead and imply to them, by doing this, their status will improve. Think about, why do we buy clothes? We buy them, well, I mean, of course, you want to cover yourself up, but we buy clothes in the hope that they will make us look good. Why do we buy this fancy mic? Well, in the hope that it's going to make our voice sound good. Why do we buy a 70,000 rupee laptop? Well, because the OS will help me do my work and that will make me look good. Now, of course, look is not just a visual thing, but you see what I'm saying here. It's all about status. And if you can get that down, then you're going to be having a lot more success. All right. With that, I think we have reached the last point that I wanted to talk about, which is, again, something which is very, very interesting to me, which is the type of products that you're going to be creating, right? And I just wanted to take this time off to discuss a couple of different formats of products that we can make, and that should definitely help us understand what are possibilities, right? So, of course, the staples are digital products, right? By that, we have stuff like ebooks. The easiest way to create ebooks is, of course, to sit and write them, right? But there is a less painful way to do that, and that is to outsource. You can always find writers, designers, all of these people on websites such as Fiverr.com, right? You can go there and for considerably low prices, right? Like really, really cheap, you can get people to write stuff. And thank you for sharing that, Vikram. So you can definitely get people to write your own books. You can outsource it to somebody; they'll write it up. And in case you want to get it published on Amazon, you can do that as well. That's also a way for you to make some more money. So ebooks are always a thing. How do you find topics for ebooks? Again, it ties back to the first point. What does your audience want? Right? It's going to go back to that particular point. And if you are interested in actually publishing your physical book, there are many companies out there which will guide you through the entire process. One of the things that I have been exploring recently, thanks to a friend of mine, is something called Gurukul Publishing. Right? I don't know. I can't vouch for them, but I know that such a company exists and they will walk you through every step of the way. Of course, they will charge you a fee for it, but at the end of this process, once you're done with the writing, you will be having a fully published print book for you to go ahead and, sell. So that's number one. So ebooks or physical books. Physical books was just an aside. So what else can you do? Apart from this, you can always make templates. Templates are always very, very popular. By templates, it could be something as simple as a checklist of things that I need to do, or maybe a way for me to, like maybe in a yoga specialist or in a yoga master's thing, it could be something like, it could be an infographic or a set of photos that talk about the different asanas that I need to do, or the routines that I need to follow every morning, every afternoon, or every evening. From a musician's, especially considering Prithvi's background as a vocal coach, it could be something as simple as different exercises to do, or like a checklist of daily habits, like, did you drink warm water only? Did you not smoke today? So stuff like that, right? So you can make those sort of checklists. That would be a really, really useful thing. Apart from that, templates, again, tied back to this, would be like stuff like where you need to fill in the blanks. One of my favorite templates is something that I always share, and we've shared as a part of the Gixie Passion to Profit Bootcamp as well, which comes to positioning. I help blank do blank, right? I help blank. The first blank is for your target audience. Do blank is achieve the goal that they want, right? So again, this is a template that you can follow, but you can create other templates as well. Another option, another thing that you could create could be assessments and tests. These are very, very easy to create. You could pay to get them created, or there are some free tools available. You could even do it via Google Forms. But with Google Forms, you will have to respond manually to each one. Apart from this, you can create workbooks. Workbooks are essentially a set of guided exercises that you can follow, that you can, which will lead people to a certain benefit or a certain result. You can create uh, a compilation or a big list of different things. As a part of the creators kit, you would be receiving the biggest list of tools that we use internally at Gixxy and elsewhere to make sure that we do the work that we do. So that's it. You can always create software. I know it might sound like a crazy thing, but considering that one of people is a musician, the other one's a yoga master, imagine what would suddenly you could do. What opportunities would suddenly be available to you if you suddenly thought that, hey, we have to create some software, right? It could be like a yoga reminder app, or it could be like a vocal training app, right? Any of those things are definitely possible. Apart from that, you could then go ahead and create audio files. Now, audio files, it could be just music, it could be just you talking, it could be an audiobook, it could be an interview, like the one that we are doing, right? So what we could do is, since I'm not sharing my screen, it's just a conversation, we could very easily just record this as a Zoom conversation, and then we could export, right? And we can extract the audio from it, and technically we could sell it as well, right? So that's also a possibility. And guys, I want you to understand, when it comes to say stuff on audio, such as let's say podcasts or audiobooks or stuff like that, you don't need to have any special skills. It definitely helps if you have some good equipment, and I'm not going to deny that. But if you can conduct a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet, you can definitely create your own audio content. And personally, I believe that audio content is one of the easiest things to create. You don't even have to break your head or your heart when it comes to creating content. So that's there. The next thing that you could do is create video content. Video content is going to be slightly more complex than audio content, because you got to keep track of the lighting, you got to keep track of the hardware, you want to make sure the audio is good as well, and then you will need to edit it a little bit. But all of these things are, again, very much doable. Remember, when it comes to this world, right, of making money from your passion, it's not about what you know. Okay, honestly, it's not. It's about who you know. You already have a very, very specific and valuable set of skills. But if you need somebody to help you achieve your vision, you have resources available to you. You have your friends network. You could trade favors with other people, right? You could collaborate. Any of these things are possible. And in the last case, you could even spend money to get the thing that you want. Personally, for me, what I have done is a couple of the ebooks that I sell as a part of my own career coaching course, I did not write them. I just gave the writer a brief saying that, hey, I want to create an ebook on habits and habit building. I'm thinking of these ideas. I want it to be about 10,000 words. How much are you going to charge me? He went off. He gave me a quote of about, I think, 8,000 rupees or something. I got that ebook written. I came back. I managed to sell two of them for like 5,000 bucks a pop. So suddenly I'm like 2,000 rupees in profit just by getting somebody else to do that thing, right? So just think of it like a business, right? So you want to invest a little bit up front, and then you want to make money on it later. So that's another thing. Apart from that, you can also look at building your own community. So we already have subscriptions as a part of Gixxy. So you could actually offer other things on that subscription. One of the things I'm considering to start a completely unrelated to career development subscription is drawing, right? I love drawing maps. I think it's very, very therapeutic. And I just want to like stream me drawing maps, so I can just open up my computer. I broadcast my screen, my camera is there. I'm going to be talking and people can come and watch. And that's like, I'm going to be drawing maps like 4 times a month. So people can watch me for about an hour, hour and a half as a
Like
stream.
streaming games
Yeah, streaming
almost.
games is also definitely a very, very big thing. You can live streaming as such is a very, very powerful tool because it's like live interaction with other people, right? So that's also there. I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if I've missed out anything. We spoke about ebooks. We spoke about images. How could I forget images? You could create cheat sheets again. You could create infographics. These are all different things that you can do. Now, remember, I want to stress on this again. You don't have to be an artist. You don't, right? There are tools such as canva.com or Pictochart, which will allow you to very, very easily and quickly create um, good looking infographics as a matter of spending time on it. And of course, if you're willing to spend, you could buy some software that makes sense for you, or you could always outsource it. Personally, my recommendation is to outsource it because it saves you the headache of learning something new, and you can focus on what you do really well, which is turning your passion into profit. Apart from this, as a thank you for everybody who's watching this video, we're going to be including a business model infographic, right, as a part of the Creator Kit series that you will be getting. If you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you go join us on Gixxy. And I'm saying all of this because it is being recorded. So yeah, go ahead and shoot out your questions. Make sure that you check your email for the business model infographic as well, which tells you different ideas on the kinds of product that you can create as well. And if you are looking for it, you can go to your Gixxy homepage, and from there you can actually look at the resources section. All these videos, all the earlier videos that we have as well, will be added there as a part of the Gixxy Creator Central. With that, I am now open for questions. So please do let me know. Otherwise, I will, essentially wind up the webinar. So please go ahead, Madhukar and Prithvi. Any questions that you have?
Arvind, I don't have any questions because this is the first webinar I attended
Sure.
from Gixxy, and I'm yet to go to Gixxy portal and webpage and visit the previous videos for 30-day passion to profit and all those. I will go through those and then I'll get in touch for any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Madhukar. Prithvi?
Yeah, I just have a question of how to get new contacts who are not in my list.
So, like, as in you're saying, like, how do you get your work in front of more people?
Yeah, correct. Like,
yeah. So she's talking about reaching out to more people outside of her list, right? Expanding her target, basically her target audience.
Right. I believe I had answered this in an earlier video. If not, I'd be more than happy to answer it again. I want you to understand a very simple concept of the different types of channels that you have at your disposal, right? Every communication channel that you have falls into one of three categories: paid, owned, and earned. When you look at things such as WhatsApp, right? Or a phone call or an email or Telegram, right? What happens in those places is that the communication that you have with somebody is direct. It's usually one-on-one, as long as you're not a part of a group or something. But there are some channels which have gatekeepers. For example, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, WhatsApp is even one of those. What happens in this is there are people between you and your audience. That would be the companies that own these platforms themselves, right? So for you to reach out to your audience, you will essentially need to pay to get in front of these people. What I mean by that is, let's say if you have a massive audience on Facebook, like let's say if you have 1,000 people, I know that 1,000 is not a big number, but let's say if you have 1,000 people on your fan page on Facebook. Now 0.2%, okay, I'm a little bit weak on math, but I think that means like 2 people out of 1,000 will be the ones who will see any update that you put up on your Facebook page. Even though you have 1,000 people who have liked you on Facebook, your message will be seen only by 2 people, right? That's because their reach is now down to 0.2%. Okay. Now, how would you increase this reach? Well, what Facebook and LinkedIn and all these other channels want you to do is they want you to increase the amount of money that you're spending on them. So you would spend money to get your message in front of other people. In other words, you would need to spend on advertising, right? Now, depending upon how you do it, it can work out really, really well. It can get you a big audience to whom you can sell stuff to. That's number one. That's why these channels are also called paid channels, because you have to pay to get in front of other people. The second kind of channels are called owned channels. These are channels that you own directly and there is no middleman. In this case, it would be stuff such as email marketing, that is your own email list, as well as, say, your website or your blog that you're running yourself. These are channels which nobody can come in and say, hey, you know what, you don't have the right to do something like this, right? So you will have to essentially start building up your email list and start emailing these people whenever you want to get in touch with them. That's the second kind of channel, that is owned. The third kind of traffic, the third kind of channel is earned channels. What that means is that you have to, your work gets spoken about by many, many different people. They start sharing, they start talking about this, they start putting it up on, their own WhatsApp status messages or something. That way, even though you created that work once, it seems to keep on getting propagated, right? People start to share your work, and as a result, it tends to gain a lot more traction, right? You're earning that reach that's happening there. Now, usually, paid, owned, and earned are the three kinds of channels that you have at your disposal. Now, there are certain other techniques as well that you can use to get a lot more mileage, right? It's not necessarily something that's going to fall on these channels. Think of somebody else in your industry or somebody else who is there in anybody else who has a big audience, right? You could essentially pay them, or you could engineer a deal with them where you are able to get your content in front of others. You can get a guest post that's being done, right? You could be on their YouTube channel as an interview. You could be there on their podcast as a guest. You could write an article for their blog. And what happens in these situations is their audience, when they see the content that you shared with them or your interview or all of that, they will be able to click through on a link and they'll be able to come to you. When it comes to you having stuff on your own blog or other places, when people search for those relevant keywords, when people search for your name, those articles or those pieces of content will pop up, and eventually people will click on those things and come to you. Now, as a creator who's just starting to, start monetizing this is something that I have, I remember from my early days, is that it's quite, it feels really, really crappy that, I'm putting out such good work, but, nobody's actually coming in. And if you are feeling like that, Prithvi, I'm not saying that you are, I'm just guessing that if you are, I want to tell you, don't worry, because building this audience does take time. If you want to accelerate this growth, if you want to get in front of a lot more people really quickly, you will have to spend on advertising. If you are willing to spend some time, you can start creating stuff on your own platform. It could be on your own blog, it could be on your own website. Those things are there. And either way, I would recommend that you get some, you put in some effort into finding how you can get noticed on other blogs. For example, Rolling Stone India, right? Now that's a blog that is dedicated to musicians, right? So maybe if you could get an article of yours over there, perhaps, that could make a difference. If you could get interviewed over there, that could make a difference. Or maybe let's say there's another website, Sheroes, SHEROES.in or sheroes.com. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact URL, but that's a blog that's focused purely on women, right? So maybe that's an angle that you can look at. Or there is Women's World Wide Web or something, right? That's another place. As for Madhukar, who's a yoga specialist, you could look at, say, blogs such as Elephant Journal. Elephant Journal could help. Maybe other blogs that you read, right? That could help as well. On YouTube, one of my friends, he interviews interesting people. His channel is called Project Superstar, right? So that's another possibility. You could also try for the Better India, Madhukar. If you want to, like, if you have a special angle that makes sense for you. Guest posting is a labor-intensive yet relatively cheaper way for you to get in front of an audience that, can keep on sending you traffic. So these are the main ways that you can expand your existing audience, Prithvi. Did that help?
Yeah, yes. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. All right. Would either one of you have any more questions?
No.
All right, great. So before we sign off, I'm just going to request each and one of you watching this live or in the future, please do check out the Passion to Profit Bootcamp as well. That is an invaluable resource when it comes to you being able to turn your passion into profit. That's the system that we have used. That's the system that we advocate all of our creators on our platform use as well. And at any time, if you wish to get in touch with us, do send us an email at hello@gigsy.in. That's all I have for you today. This is Arvind and Vikram. Please end the webinar.
Thank you so much for attending, Prithvi and Madhukar. Please do attend our weekly webinars. It'll be good for you to get a lot of perspective based on what we talk every week. And yeah, invaluable. And I believe we will have more and more interesting topics to be talking about over the next few weeks as well, because this is a never-ending churn. And I believe it's going to be very interesting going ahead in the future also. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you guys. Bye.